Welcome back to the Youngstown Penguin Football Podcast. I'm your host, Sal Guardo, live from Tampa. And also with us, as always, our co-host, former defensive lineman Kyle Searle, former quarterback Kurt Hess, and former director of football operations Dan Kopp. You could always follow us on Instagram at Whitetown Penguin Podcast and follow us anywhere podcasts are found. We are back live again on YouTube Live. The chat is open. Kyle Searle is monitoring that chat, so please join us. Hoping to get some more people after we announced last week. That was kind of our first rodeo doing it. We got it figured out, and I think we'll be a little bit more interactive this time. As we know, last week, Youngstown State Penguins played Robert Morris and were victorious at a 48-28 win. I know Kyle Searle and Dan Kopp were there. So before we kind of recap on the field, how was the tailgate? How was the atmosphere? What was your take on the game, guys?
It was a fun environment for sure. It was a beautiful, beautiful sunny day, not a cloud in the sky. I think it was the State Farm Kids kickoff or something. They had some one of the lots broken down for some tailgating events for kids and family, some bouncy houses. You know, I had to get in there and double bounce some kids through the ceiling, all that good stuff. But overall, it was a good game day atmosphere. Attendance was nice. It was good to see the castle filled like it should be.
Yeah, I agree. It was a great day. Beautiful weather out there, and obviously a better crowd this go around. So, and really you couldn't ask for a better day weather-wise. We've had some seasons where it's been miserable this early on, but Kyle hit it on the head. A lot of stuff going on with marketing and promotions with athletic department, but all around a good day for football.
Let me ask you, do we still do on the stick?
I believe Pete on a stick is still out there. I believe so. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't down on the field that I could see it. Oh, Kyle, did you notice it?
I didn't see the team walk through the tailgate lot. So I don't know. Cannot confirm or deny.
We're going to have to get some intel on that. I don't know if you're going to have to ask your buddy Tim Gallo or whatnot. But
I'm going to have to reach out to
him. Speaking of Tim, he was a little mad at us that we have not had him and Alvy on the show. So we're going to have to get those boys on here sometime, or there's going to be hell to pay.
We may have to get a disclosure with that group, though, Sal. Can we get a legal rating before the show goes on with Tim and Alvy? I've known those guys too long, man. That would be, ooh.
That's going to be the podcast after dark. Podcast after dark.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
we got parental advisory.
Yep, 10 p.m. after 10 p.m.
We'll reach out to them. But recapping, let me get my transition. Recapping the game, again, it was a victorious 48-28 Youngstown State Penguins over Robert Morris. Recapping, just because it's been a few days, start off with the Penguin running back Rushton with a 6-yard run. Robert Morris quickly answered Noah Robinson with a 28-yard pass. He then did a little Penguin dance in the end zone. Tyshawn Keene answered with a 32-yard run to make it 13-7. Missing the extra point gave Robert Morris a chance to actually take the lead in the second quarter, 14-13. Noah Robinson with his second touchdown catch and his second Penguin dance in the end zone. Rushton then responded for the Penguins with a 10-yard run. Keene answered again with a 18-yard run, putting the Penguins up 27-14 at halftime. Penguins answered again with a pass from Mitch Davidson that put us up 34-14. Tyshawn Keene again with a 14-yard run, 41-14. Mitch Davidson ran in 48-14. And we were all looking as if we were going to cover the spread, and Kyle was going to be the only loser who picked Robert Morris. but not so fast. Robert Morris was not done as they had another touchdown throw, making it 48-21. And with under 2 minutes left, they had a 60-yard run to make it 48-28, which means Robert Morris would cover the Sal Casino spread, giving Kyle Stroh the only nod ahead on that. So that was a recap of the game. Turn it really back over to Dan, just overall thoughts on what you think about the game, positive, negative. You don't have to be a politician. You can tell us.
I got a couple of points, just some couple of players quickly. You mentioned Tyshawn King. He's got some really good balance. He took some hits, and that one touchdown he scored, the guy had him by almost the ankle. He broke out of that, scored. Alex Howard again. I thought for the 3 weeks into the season, Alex Howard has played well. I'll let Kurt and Kyle talk about the O&D, but special teams were good again, which is good to see. I thought this was kind of like the Valpo game. Our coaching staff's doing a good job with, at least from what you see there, second half adjustments, where we've come out and looked pretty solid after not maybe playing as well. I noticed some good, Bryce blocking downfield. Credit to Coach Barassa with our receivers blocking downfield on some plays there. That was good to see. Did you guys notice the tight end? He's kind of like an H-back tight end. Brandon Serrano, number 15. Mm-hmm. He's a nice little player. He's a local guy from Struthers High School. So he adds a cool little dimension, and we've got good tight ends. I'd like to see us use them a little more. Bo Brungard fielding punts. Did you guys see that?
No, when was that?
Most of the game.
Over my head.
Yeah, Kurt, probably if you were watching it, I almost want to say the whole game he was fielding punts.
Wow.
Well,
Kyle might be able to,
I'm gonna wait till Kurt tunes in on the offense. But
yeah,
what worried me at the end there, it looked like Brungar was kind of limping a little bit. It made me a little worried.
I didn't notice that too much, but he was fielding punts, which was interesting to see. But all in all, I thought we, with some of those turnovers, I thought mentally, if we do that into the conference, as you guys know, that's going to hurt us. We can't have the ball on the ground. But I thought we, for the most part, come out really well in the second half. We put up 48 points. Like I said, I think Kurt's going to touch on Mitch, and I know Kyle will touch on the D line, which I think are two really positives that we have there. But all in all, I think we did what we were supposed to do. That's all behind us now, and we've got to get ready for really the stretch here that's coming up. But I thought we looked physical. The coaching's clean. We made adjustments, came out and played a better second half, and I'm excited to see what's next. So I think who's next, Kurt or Kyle?
Kurt.
Yeah, go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah, I mean, just, going off of what you guys have been telling me, doing a little bit of research. I wasn't able to watch the game on Saturday. Shout out to my sister Allie getting married to my new brother-in-law Pete. They're out in Antigua right now. So Mark and Rita, shout out for another great party. But just looking at the stat sheet and going over what we were able to research a little bit, the first thing that jumps into my head offensively is balance. Being able to both run the football and pass the football. Having two receivers, CJ Charleston and Bryce Oliver, being legit targets for Mitch are going to be huge. So if you got two stable, steady guys out there running routes, we all knew about Bryce heading into the season, but a little bit of emergence from CJ, and like Coach, you were talking about Serrano over there being kind of a gadget guy for us, and Tom Sack, his play at Ohio State, and it looks like he had another reception, 1 for 28. I feel like he's kind of that Christian Bryan, inside speedster that's able to find holes and make big plays for us. So, being able to stay balanced moving forward, it seems like we got a good 1-2 punch in Rushton and King. But, it all comes down to the trenches, boys. And, if those guys play well and, we're able to get not only big runs but sustained drives, then it's all about the Hogs up front. So, if they can protect Mitch, if we can stay in third and short, It looks like we got the guys on the outside, but as you guys know, it was all about us in this game, and it's going to be a different beast when it comes to conference play. So, really the test is upcoming for sure offensively.
Let me say something, if you don't mind, negative and positive on the offense. On the negative, I don't know if you all saw that blocked extra point that happened, which should never happen against Robert Morris. And I may be wrong. I only saw one replay, and number 78 on the offensive line, when he's turning around and he's facing the kicker, I think that's a red flag that he probably missed an assignment or was slow. I don't want to call him out if I'm wrong, but I think that was on him. Got to get that corrected. And then you mentioned it, Kurt. So I was going to mention C.J. Charleston too, because he is a phenomenal receiver that's being almost overshadowed by Bryce Oliver. So I'm glad you gave him kudos. And like you said, it's an extra target that I think going into the season into conference play, he's going to be a big key. And then Rushton, I'll be honest, I never really recognized or thought of Rushton because Keene has been such a great running back for us. But we have thunder and lightning. That Rushton's pretty damn good himself. I mean, we got another running back on our hands that we'll be able to rotate him pretty good. I mean, Keene is definitely more of the power back, but Rushton showed he's got some talent too. So we got two guys at running back and two real dudes at receiver. So kudos to those guys. Searle, defense.
All right. So I kind of have a lot to say about the defense from just watching them in person. And granted, I don't have all the replays available to me when I'm in the stadium. And statistically, on paper, these guys played really well. Holding Robert Morris to 290 yards of total offense over 4 quarters, it's pretty good in college football. But from watching the game in the stands, in the first half, I think there were some mental errors. There's a couple offsides on the defensive line. One negated a touchdown. Now, granted, the quarterback just threw it up because it was a free play, but still, still took a touchdown off the board for the guys. So clean that stuff up. And I really want to hold this unit to a high standard because I've seen them play physical. I've seen them play fast. And they took it to Robert Morris. I felt like Robert Morris couldn't move the ball. And then all of a sudden there's a couple missed tackles and Robert Morris was getting some pretty explosive plays left and right on 3rd and longs, converting those. And one thing that I want to see this team do is start holding opponents in the red zone to field goals. And I know that is a goal on the weekly chart, red zone points, goals, especially off turnovers. Things happen in the football game and we have to play complementary football. So if the offense throws an interception like they did inside the red zone, hold that team to a field goal and don't let them do a stupid penguin dance on us because that was disrespectful. I didn't really see anyone get charged up after it. I saw a couple heads just kind of like go down like, oh shoot, here we go. And I don't ever want to see that from our guys. I want to see some people get a little hot and take that stuff personally and really shut them down. So limit the big plays, limit the mental errors, no penalties before or after the snap, and just take care of your assignment. But overall, these guys really did play well. Definitely came out in the second half, adjusted and ready to fly around. So good stuff on the defense. Just clean up that stuff because not holding Missouri Valley football teams to field goals is not a recipe for success.
Yeah. I just want to say that's why I was waiting to hear, Kurt and Kyle's kind of thoughts on that, especially you guys playing those positions at a high level. That Kurt mentioned it. I thought Mitch looked comfortable. I don't know if that's the right word, but he looks like we think he should be at this point in his career. Never really looks rattled back there. Made some throws, missed a couple throws. We've got good receivers. You guys talked about, Sal had a great point about CJ and Dre. And I think it goes back to, this is something I've heard Coach Phillips say in the media around here a lot. We're a deep football team. I think we're not just sitting here going, man, if King gets hurt, we're in trouble, and Dre offers that extra little gear at times. But, Kyle just brought up a good point where their guy scored and did the dance. Well, a couple weeks ago, our quarterback ran in at the shoe and did his dance, So I think there's a lot of similarities that maybe Ohio State was saying the same thing about us. Man, we gave up touchdown to this group, and I thought, again, coaches are making adjustments. I hope there's a couple of wrinkles that they're putting in offensively, but man, we were healthy, right, for the most part. I didn't notice or read about any injuries, so let's move on from this stage of the season and get into what really matters now.
Well, just to clear up, because I think Mitch Davidson, when Ohio State, he did the penguin dance, whether it's star dance. Robert Morris, how ballsy! I could understand if he was tying it up in the fourth quarter, taking the lead, to do the penguin dance in your face. But the first touchdown or two in a game that you're supposed to get blown out at, you don't know. you get what I'm saying? You don't know if you're going to win or not. He's kind of doing it, and we were up 48-14 at one point. That Noah Robinson, it ticked me off, and I'm with you, Stroud. I don't know why anyone get ticked off about it.
Well, it was the touchdown after the turnover. A couple plays later, they were up. Well, it was tied 13-13 before the extra point, and then they went on.
Right,
13-13,
it was a take. So. Yeah, to take the lead.
Yeah, it was a bold move, but he let the Penguins know that they were there to play. They saw them play Ohio State. They didn't care. They were there to make plays.
1 second.
And so
sounds like
honestly,
we lost Sal.
Yeah,
might have been a baby call.
We talked about it last week, right? This is Robert Morris's big money game. This is probably the biggest crowd that they get to play in front of, and so. When Mitch goes out and does it in front of 101,000, I think that's awesome. Something you can carry on the rest of your life. So, whoever this dude was that was able to do this, he's going to carry that with him the rest of his life and the rest of the season. And who knows what they accomplished. I don't think they won a game last year. So it's not like they've been in the end zone a lot. And this dude's probably played 4 or 5 years and finally got his chance to be in the end zone. So I don't blame him, but I also would love a little bit of retaliation from my defense,
Yeah, I think we all you mentioned it. Hey, they were coming out and trying to throw haymakers. They were up and doing a dance. But we were never there was never a threat that we were going to lose this football game. So we just, that was good to see. We, even as turnover here, turnover there, we were the better football team. And I would have loved to have been closer to my prediction, but that's why I don't make them freaking predictions anymore.
But the Searles, I'm sorry, I stepped out, but the Searles point I wanted to make on the defense, the secondary and the corners, and we said this last week in our scouting report, that Robert Morris won their first game in forever through the air on big pass plays. So Searles hit it on the head. I agree with him. Eliminate the big plays, and the secondary needs to step up. I thought the D-line did a really good job, but and we'll get to you and I our next game, but they got Theo Day, one of the best quarterbacks, so we need to clean it up. And that Noah Robinson for Robert Morris, he had 9 catches for 100 yards, and their quarterback only had 170 yards passing. So 100 went to one guy. I don't want to say anything, but in the transfer portal, that Noah Robinson, he's playing for the wrong team. But
yeah, he's an ODU transfer. I thought they said Old Dominion guy.
Oh, is he?
That's what I heard someone say he was an Old Dominion transfer. That's what I heard, so didn't read it. So
you beat Virginia Tech then. Anyway, just recapping, I know we've been very hard critics on the fans, and Searle, you definitely said positive things. We're just short of 13,000 of the 20,000 max capacity at the Ice Castle. That's a 62% fill rate. which is much more positive, and happy to see that compared to the Valpo game. So the Castle is filling up more and more. So love to see the Penguins turn out. Anything left on this game?
Let's talk about the conference.
Okay, let's move forward. Curdy, hand it over to you.
Yeah, just a quick update on our NFL guys. Derek Rivers is a guy who initially, at the beginning of the year, he's in year 7 with the Houston Texans right now. We had him on episode 2 or 3 really early in the podcast. Derek signed with the Texans practice squad this week. I may have to have you guys tell me on this one. It's recent where you can sign veterans to practice squad in the NFL, or has that always been an option? Because, it just seems like he's old to be able to do this, but, maybe he's kind of that bubble guy for the Texans right now where, you want to keep him on your roster, you want to keep him in the organization, but, 4 or 5 weeks down the road, it's possible they activate him again. So, maybe if you guys, I don't know if you guys know that. I don't know that answer.
I'm not sure. I don't know if the NFL can use guys similar to like AAA, AA, and the MLB with the practice squad. They can probably do it. I know they can only have so many practice squad members, so they got to be pretty selective on who they put out there.
Okay, so in that case, to your point, that's still the organization still wants Derek. It seemed that they waived him off the active roster and then signed him. So always wishing the best for Derek. Hopefully he's staying healthy right now. I think his wife's his due coming up soon, right? They were having their 3rd kid, so always keeping him in our thoughts and prayers. Andrew Ogletree with the Indianapolis Colts right now was inactive during week 2. It seems like he is a bubble guy right now. There may be some injuries at the tight end position for the Indianapolis Colts. So obviously, hopefully he's getting film study right now. He's staying healthy, getting the chance to be activated into some games here. But the big news out of the NFL this week was Jaleel scoring his first touchdown. Jaleel McLaughlin, he's been our horse for the last 2 years. He's made a ton of noise and a ton of waves out in Denver. It seems on social media that he has a great relationship with Russ Wilson. And say whatever you want about Russell Wilson, it seems like he is a guy that is shouting out Jaleel any chance he gets on social media. White Town Penguin podcast, we follow Jaleel on there, and I've followed Russ forever. And it's kind of cool to see Russell Wilson shouting out your boy, who played at your school. So, Jaleel took one to the house. It was a pretty commonplace toss play. But he showed great vision. He showed great burst. He followed his blockers, and that's what he needs to do. But looking into that more, it was kind of upsetting. I think that was his only touch of the day. So he's not getting the work that we are all hoping for, because we think that he's going to be a productive back. I truly believe that in one way or another, whether it's pass catching or, running between the tackles. For being so small, he's great between the tackles. So would love to see Jaleel get some more work with the Broncos, but we know he's probably earning his stripes right now and paying his dues. And I think we talked about it on this podcast. Russell said that he is the first one in the building, right? Jaleel is earning everything right now. So Jaleel, congratulations, man. I don't know if you're listening, but everybody loved to see it, man. We'd love to get you on the show at some point if we can, but shouts out to Jaleel. I don't know. Searle's 0-2 right now in fantasy, so it's possible he needs to pick somebody up. And Team 8 definitely has.
Hey, I'm waiting for the Broncos to start Jaleel because I have Jaleel stashed on my bench.
You got it. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I was going to say, pick them up on your fantasy teams now while no one has them.
I drafted him. I drafted him late. I got him.
Yo.
A question is, you mentioned that the show follows him. Does he follow the show?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and check. I'm not sure that he does, but here's the thing. He needs his mind on football right now. So I really, truly do not want – it's the same reason we're not reaching out to Brasillo every chance we get, right? We want Carm on the show all the time.
Yeah.
They have bigger we want Carm on the show, but
Carm committed to being on the show.
Yeah,
I know he's ready, but we were like, hey, let's put him in the back burner because he's got a season going on. After losing the Bills 38-10, maybe he needs to come on.
This podcast is bigger than the Vegas Raiders, Kurt. Watch yourself. On that note, just quick shout out to Rob Smith, who put us on the Jumbotron and on the radio and through the PA. And really, the real hero is his daughter Emily, who was at our Ohio State tailgate and really hooked us up and got the deal done. A Tampa resident. So definitely shout out to Emily and Rob. Y'all will be seeing the podcast marketed at games for the rest of the season.
Nice.
Kurt, is that it? You good on Penguins?
I mean, if you're giving a shout out to Emily, we got to give a shout out to her husband,
Cole.
YSU alum Cole Kochman. Cole made the trip up too, and if it weren't for Cole and Emily making the decision to come up to Columbus, it's possible our promo is still obsolete. It's still dead. So
still
shout out
sitting in the
Cole and
inbox.
Emily. Let's go, baby.
All right.
Cole, number 45, right? Cole was number 45
yeah.
for us. Yo.
He's a beast. Cole's a beast, man.
Yep.
All right.
Dude,
Go ahead.
What's Sal doing? What are you doing giving the Raiders bulletin board material on us, saying our show's bigger than they got us? They got a target on our backs now with the Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, thanks, Sal. They're gonna put up a billboard on the Strip in Vegas. Do not listen to this show. I mean, come on,
I would love
Sal.
that. That'd be great advertisement. Let's transition. Recapping our picks last week, guys. Just to recap, none of us had a winning record. Actually, myself, Dan, and Cyril, we all went 4-7. Hats off to Kurt, who was our winner at 5-6 this week, as it was a rough week for us in Sal's Casino. Just recapping around the Missouri Valley Football Conference on what happened last week. Boise State, North Dakota. Boise State won 42-18. Ball State, Indiana State. Ball State won 45-7 and covered. South Dakota, Lamar, 35-6. South Dakota, they won and covered. Youngstown State 48, Robert Morris 28. Youngstown State won but did not cover. Crazy game that I'll give the details later. Eastern Illinois State. Eastern Illinois wins 14-13. They won the money line. And North Dakota State versus Central Arkansas, 49-31. And Central Arkansas actually won the spread in that game. South Dakota State, Drake, 70-7. The Jackrabbits roll and cover. Northern Iowa versus Idaho State, 41-17. Northern Iowa wins and covers. Murray State, Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee State wins 35-14, but Murray State covers the spread. Another amazing game. The Salukis of Southern Illinois versus Southeast Missouri State. The Salukis win by 26-25. I'll recap the details on that as well. Then Lindenwood over I guess you call it our conference foe, Western Illinois Salukis. Lindenwood wins 43-40. Good riddance, and I can't wait for Western Illinois to leave the conference, which means Lindenwood actually covered the money line. Did want to recap because there were two really phenomenal games that I was glued to and could not take my eyes off on a weekend that FBS football. There were good games, but there wasn't any headliners to pay attention to. Southern Illinois, Southeast Missouri State, just to recap how close it was. The game went down to actually the Salukis were losing 25-13 in the fourth quarter. Salukis score with 7 minutes left to make it 20-26. Then with 11 seconds left from the 9-yard line, the Salukis throw a touchdown pass with 11 seconds to win 26-25. Two-point conversion, no good. But the Salukis rally back in the fourth quarter and score with literally seconds left. What a close game. Illinois State, Eastern Illinois, just to recap how close that one was. It was Illinois State 13-7 in the fourth quarter. And then with 30 seconds left, Eastern Illinois, who had basically no offense all day long, goes all the way down with a 25-yard pass with 30 seconds left to put Illinois State away. Eastern Illinois is now 2-0 against the conference, which is no bueno when it comes to playoff time because they are in Robert Morris's conference, which can't be promising look for the Missouri Valley come playoffs. But any games doesn't have to be Missouri Valley. It could be national, FBS. Any games that stuck out to you guys that you want to comment on?
I was glued to the Colorado State game until 1:30 in the morning.
Wow.
2:30. You fell asleep. I was up to like 2:30.
I had it on my phone in my ears, but yeah, I was glued to it.
Crazy game.
I got one game to bring up that we were texting about. How about Iowa State, Ohio, with the action putting down Iowa State? And I'm just going to say what we're all thinking is Iowa State, Matt Campbell needs to do something about his offensive coordinator and quit holding John Haycock. I know y'all probably don't want to say it on the air, but it needs to be said.
What?
Well, I mean,
what was Iowa State doing in Athens?
I mean, that I don't know. They have a
What's
home
Virginia
away.
Tech doing at Marshall next week.
Yeah, maybe it was.
It's a cheap budget way that you don't have to pay your opponent. Like Ohio State had to pay us $800,000. If Ohio State comes to Youngstown State, then it's a wash. They don't have to pay us. Now, when you have money like Ohio State and you're not cheap, you don't go to Youngstown State. You just host games.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, I'm not afraid to say anything regarding that's Coach Aycock. When you hold a team, what was the final score?
10 to 3.
10-3 or 10-7? What was the final? The Iowa State at Ohio, but it was. I mean, Coach Haycock's defense held them to, I think, less than maybe two touchdowns.
7-10 was the final.
10. So they lost by a field. They hold a team to 10 points. You got to win that game. I mean, Campbell's a great young coach. So I mean, I don't want to get anything twisted here to think they don't have good coaches, because they do.
No, they don't.
I mean, they don't have their quarterback. There's some issues going on there, right? They got Anthony Beck's son as the quarterback, that former NFL player. But I don't know, man. Who knows? Maybe OU's got a bunch of transfer portal guys that are good, but sad that they had to come to Athens, Ohio to play, I guess. But I don't know. You got to score more than, you got to score two. You think about this. If Iowa State scores 2 touchdowns, and don't even have to kick, doesn't even need to make the extra points, and they win the game. So I mean, score 2 touchdowns. Right. How many FCS, FBS, D2, D3 schools would love to say, if we score 12 points a game, we win? That's unheard of nowadays. So I feel bad for that situation. And I mean, we all love Coach Haycock. He sure as hell doing his job. They just got to win it. But,
and like I text you, Purdy, everyone was like, Purdy stinks. He's not a good quarterback. And as soon as he leaves that offense, he goes to the 49ers. I don't think he's lost as like a full game starter yet. So
well, he had a good career at Iowa State. He played well there. I mean, obviously he was Mr. Irrelevant, but
point-wise.
Yeah, I'm with Kyle. I that Colorado State. I mean, it's Colorado State. The Buffs are the talk of the sports world, and rightfully so. I'll only mention this, not conference. Sal, you brought up good points. I think it goes to show how hard it is to win on the road, right? I mean, Illinois State plays Eastern Illinois, which should win that conference. The Salukis, SEMO's of Southeast Missouri State's always been a tough place to play. They pulled it out. So we've got to do that here in in 2 weeks or whatever. But I'm just going to throw this out there and I'll be quiet. Where do you think Colorado is ranked in the recruiting rankings for next year? Top 10, top 20?
Top 10
right now?
Right now, today.
Yeah, probably top 10. Probably top 10.
Curdy?
And that's not including the portal.
Nationally.
Got to be top 10, top 15.
I was on ESPN Plus today, read an article. The top 40 recruiting classes, they're not even mentioned. Colorado. Unless I missed it, but I went through it. Where do you think that's...
hit the refresh button.
No, I'm telling you, I just did it today. I mean, so even so, they weren't in the top 10. Where do you think they'll be come February after he starts getting... How many of the Georgia guys and Alabama, hopefully, whoever, USC are going to flip and go there? So that's all I kind of took from the weekend a little bit.
Too soon. It's too soon. Let's see if he can finish out the season this way. I think Colorado State may have exposed some weaknesses.
True.
Anyway. Everyone's good? One thing that did happen since we recorded, as we know, Western Illinois is leaving. Murray State is now in. Therefore, Patty, a friend of the show, had redone the Missouri Valley Football Conference schedule, moved some things around. As far as who we're playing, it's about the same teams. I think she really just unplugged Western Ill and plugged in Murray State, but she did flip the dates around. So our final schedule, including the conference schedule, was released on September 11th. So I'm just going to quickly read it off and just get y'all's thoughts on it. Starting August 29th, we're at Villanova, home against Valpo, home against Duquesne, at Pittsburgh, at Missouri State, Indiana State, at South Dakota State, home South Dakota, home North Dakota, at Illinois State, at Southern Illinois, and at home against Northern Iowa. And that includes no bye weeks in there that I saw, which is interesting. Thoughts? Do we love it, hate it, pros and cons? What do y'all see?
I'll go ahead and start, and I see a glaring con, and that is the final three games at Illinois State, at Southern Illinois, two very, very capable Valley programs on the road in November, and then our nemesis that we can't seem to get over the hump or have steady wins against, which is UNI. So, assuming we're in the playoff hunt at that time, whether we're 6-3 or 7-2, whatever we are at that time, heading into those last three games without any bye week, that I think that is a con for us. I think that is really challenging. The pro for us is, Youngstown Penguin Podcast Tailgate 2.0 is going to be at Pittsburgh next year, so that is going to be a blast. Considering we'll have a ton of Youngstown people only driving an hour away. Dante Nania came to Columbus this time, and this time we get to go to Dante. He's moving to Pittsburgh, so we'll see Dante September 21st.
Yeah, I'll take over from there. Love that we're opening up with a good, reputable FCS program week one. It is on the road, but we do get a little extra time at the end of camp to kind of prepare for Villanova over there in Philadelphia. Another big win on the schedule is there's no North Dakota State again. So, hey, you want to beat those guys, you want to be the best, but hopefully this program doesn't have to see them until we get into the playoffs. This bye week at the end of the season, last one, that's gonna suck. You're coming out of camp and you're gonna play 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 games with no bye week, no rest. You're going to have, guys getting banged up and really no time to come back from that. So that's probably the biggest negative on this whole list.
Yeah, you guys both brought up really good points. That gauntlet to finish the year kind of reminds me of 2013 or 13, right? When we finished with UNI, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, right?
Yep.
So it's brutal. Kyle, remember you've been talking about it since the preseason about having a FCS opener instead of someone like that. Well, we're going to get one with Villanova.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to be in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's going to be. And I don't necessarily like playing Pitt or week 4 like that. It's kind of. I don't know. You can get hurt any time of the season. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But obviously, interesting schedule. Yeah, but a lot of pros. I don't know if there's many pros. I'll be honest with you. I don't like the schedule. But so there you go, Sal. See, I said something negative. So,
and North Dakota was initially not on our schedule, and then when it got updated, Patty somehow squeezed North Dakota back on there, and Murray State went away just to share. And the cons I see is right now, Missouri State and Indiana by default, those are our two, I don't want to say bye weeks, but the weaker of the two. And we get them back to back, and then we hit the gauntlet of the hard part of the conference. So like you said, I guess I like if we're going to have them back to back. It's nice to have them in the middle of the season like we have it, but again, I'd rather have them spread out. Maybe play Indiana State between Illinois State and Southern Illinois, or between Southern Illinois and UNI. The conference, which has nothing to do with Ron Strollo, the conference schedule is definitely not in our favor next season. But you never know. Teams go up and down. We're just really basing them off of 2 weeks into this season. So we'll see if anyone hopefully drops off. One more thing, I just want to share an update of the top 25, at least for the conference. Penguins have jumped up from number 25 to number 24. Also on that is North Dakota still hanging at 14. The Salukis of Southern Illinois have jumped to number 12 now, and they are looking really good. And of course, we still have South Dakota State number 1 and North Dakota State number 2. Northern Iowa drops out of the rankings, but is receiving votes, and Illinois State just lost their votes after losing that close game. So that's moving on. We have a bye week this upcoming week. However, almost everyone in the conference also has a bye week. So we are going to start just look ahead right now at Northern Iowa, because we have it all circled on our calendar as they are our Achilles heel. So scouting report for September 30th, we are at the Unidome at 2 p.m. to play Northern Iowa. Just a quick scouting report from everyone. Just recapping their schedule so far. They were at Iowa State, lost 30-9. Played Weber State from the Big Sky, lost 34-17. Picked up their first win this last Saturday. Idaho State 41-17. So they're 1-2, but please take that with a grain of salt, as they played two very good teams so far. UNI is a long-time football program that's been around. They're in their 128th football season under Coach Mark Farley, who's in his 22nd year as their head coach. So he's been there a while. He's only missed the playoffs back-to-back once. That was in 2012, 2013. He did not make the playoffs this past year. Therefore, if he doesn't make it this year, it would be the second time he's ever missed the playoffs back-to-back. YSU has a bad historical record against them. Just recapping the numbers, we've been playing them since 1978, and we're 9-25 against them. At the Unidome, we're 3-15, so we only won 3 times at Northern Iowa. Home, it's a little bit better, 6-10. Since we've joined the conference, we're 4-18 against Northern Iowa. So we only beat them 4 times since joining the conference in 1997. Lastly is, where's a good stat I have? Oh, we beat them in 2017 at UNI. That was our last win at UNI. Previous to that, we had not won at UNI since 1992. So our only win at UNI since 1992 has happened once, and that was 6 years ago. Top people to look at: their kicker, Matt Cook. He is an All-American. Their quarterback, Theo Day, is All-Conference. Their receiver, Sam Schnee, is also All-Conference. And then they have a great defensive lineman, Boyd, and their defensive back, who Governor, did not make that up. That is their all-conference corner. Unidome holds 16,000 strong, and you guys all been there. It gets very rowdy, and it's like a arena football game with the lights and the show and the entertainment they put on for the fans. It's going to get loud, and they're going to fill it up. Cyril, over to you. Thoughts, scouting report.
I love playing in the Unidome, mainly because I don't know, I'm weird. I like hostile environments. So it is going to be a nasty environment for our guys. Like you said, Theo Day, first team all conference last year. I don't know why he's first team last year, and then he's picked second team preseason Missouri Valley this year. along with his receiver Sam Snee. Big playability with those guys, and he's got three weapons. He has Sergio Moranci. Once again, I don't know how to pronounce these guys' names. Hope I said it right. Don't put me on the bulletin board for mispronouncing names. And Logan Wolf. So these guys, I think this team is a little different than the teams that Kurt and I played. I remember you and I being a pretty smash mouth football team that could throw the ball. I think this is a Northern Iowa team that is a throw first football team, and they're trying to find their run identity. So I really think our Penguins defense, our front seven, has the advantage here. With that being said, we can't have those pre and post snap penalties. We can't have defensive holdings and pass interferences because they're gonna throw the ball around. And play fast. I mean, hold these guys to as many field goals as you can because they're going to move the ball down the field. We got to bow up and keep them out of the end zone.
Dan.
Yeah, I mean, those stats you talked about, Sal, those are enough to make anyone sick to their stomach, but those are what they are. And hopefully that's all in the past. You guys so far have brought it up. Their quarterback is a big old dude, man. I watched him against Iowa State. I watched that whole game, and Iowa State was getting after him. He took some shots, hung in there, threw some good balls. I mean, he's good. He's really good. And so are the receivers. They're going to have a big offensive line like they always do. They'll be stout up front on defense. And yeah, Kyle, I like what you said. I think they seem to be a throw first team, but I think what we're going to see from them is a little bit of the usual. I can't imagine that they won't come out there and try and pound the ball down our throats and see if we are a good defense. We got to cover people. We've got to get after him like Iowa State did. But he's big, strong. It's Northern Iowa. It is what it is. They're going to be good. Throw out those. They lost to two good football teams. They lost to. I mean, I know we talked about Iowa State earlier, but Iowa State's good, and Weber State is good too. So, it's going to be the same old thing. We got to go out there and just be ready to go. We've got to be just physical. I hope, like you talked about, Kyle, you liked playing there. Kurt did too. Sal and I were out there on many trips. It's going to be loud. And what do they do there? Shake keys or something? Is that what they do?
Yeah, shake the keys.
Yeah, that drives me freaking crazy. So I just hope, let's just come out. We've just got to be physical because they're going to try and push us around. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to start the rumor now. They call us little brother. So let's go. Maybe they'll fire our boys up some more. But our guys will be ready to go. But it's a tall task. Go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Farley's the same guy that we played against, right? The head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I always felt, looking back and thinking about it now, I haven't watched a ton of their defense this year, but they're going to have their back, 7 or 8 guys are going to be athletes everywhere, and they always have been. I always felt like Farley, when we played UNI at home, they were much more of a base defense, and they didn't want to make a mistake. They didn't want the ball to go over top of you. But I don't know if it's something Farley does, but when he feels that crowd at UNI, he wants to come after you. So, if that's him or the defensive coordinator, it's going to come down to us not turning the ball over. And I hate to bring out my Shane Montgomeryism, but it's okay if we punt every single time. If we end every drive with a kick, we're going to be okay. And Shane meant, punts and field goals. So don't turn the ball over. Take the points when you can. I'm anxious to watch their defense a little bit more and see what kind of blitzing they do because they did a lot of zone blitzes, but I don't know if they do that now. But take care of the football. Live to see another day. If we're playing good on defense, then especially we don't need to force anything, at least offensively. But did you guys see yesterday their first round draft pick Trevor Penning completely smashed a dude on one of the New Orleans Saints touchdowns? I didn't know if you saw that. He got a massive shout out for Northern Iowa yesterday, so that was kind of exciting. But Yeah, I'm anxious to watch that quarterback too. He's supposed to be all world. He's preseason All American and everything. So love to get after him a little bit too and take some chances on the road.
Sal, did you say
One
their
thing I want to
kicker
add.
is an? I'm sorry, is an All-American?
Yep.
He kicks in a dome, right?
Kicks
Yeah.
in a dome.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to add, and the historical record speaks for itself. Like, YSU does not have a good record against these guys. So, you know, to the guys that are listening to this that are on the roster and in the stadium, like, they don't care if they are 0-10 and they have the Penguins on the schedule. They, in their heart, know that they can beat you guys. So this Penguins team needs to start fast and play fast, because if we got to make big second half adjustments, the game might be out of reach, and we cannot let the game get out of reach early. So be ready, be prepared, play fast, play hard.
Before we get, I mean, you kind of hit on some keys of the game already, but before we get to keys of the game and score predictions, we've all played, you and I, there and at home 4, 5, 6 times. So just any stories to reminisce on. I had one in particular that I actually had been saving for this episode when we played them. Well, there's a few, but like Dan knows, there's some that can't be discussed on the podcast. It's more of I'll tell you in person, but I'm not. You can't record me on the story. But one really the most disrespectful I think I've ever been disrespected by any football team at any level. Had to be my freshman year in 2008. Dan, if you remember this, Northern Iowa. For listeners that do not know, all teams travel the night before or the day before. They'll travel on Friday, they'll get a hotel, they'll rest, and then they'll fly out Saturday night after the game. Northern Iowa, I don't know if it was that entire year just for us, but in 2008, they flew in the day of the game. So they flew in on Saturday to playoffs at the Ice Castle. They got in actually kind of late. We're on the field, and they hadn't even showed up to the stadium yet. They just rolled in there, threw on their shoulder pads, and walked on the field. And we had missed an extra point that day, and that made the difference. I believe the score was 21-20. I think it was Brian Palmer missed a extra point for us, and that was the difference. And they just, right after the game, they hopped on the bus and caught their flight home, and they were in town for maybe 5 hours. They were in Youngstown, Ohio, flew in, beat us, flew out, see ya, and thanks for saving us the hotel money. That's something I'll never forget, and I was 0-4 in my career against those guys. I never beat them.
Sorry to say that, Sal. I got two better memories, hopefully, than that. But yeah, I think the first one, they both happened in 2012 when we beat them, and David Johnson seemingly ran all over us. But the first one, I think it was like 4th and 8 or something, and we were driving. I think I stepped back to pass, and sometimes as a quarterback, you're like, I'm going to just read my keys, and you're not really sure what's going to happen on this play. And there was some short pressure, kind of ducked under something and squirted out. On the film, it looked like I was completely sacked and gone for dead, but never got sacked, never got brought down, and up comes Will Shaw about 8 yards away. Throw to Will. He runs it up the sideline for about 20 yards, and we convert and go in and score. Torian scores on that one. And then, I mean, the game clincher was probably my favorite play of my career, believe it or not, not even beating Pitt. It was probably my favorite play. 28-28 tie, minute 50 left. We call a huddle call, and it gets called from the sideline the wrong way. So instead of having strength to the right, we have strength to the left to the field. It's a boundary play. And, you know, time's running down. You call the play. I don't even know if we had timeouts or not, but we ran a play action, purple 99, something like that at the time. And, I mean, Christian Bryan and I had probably half a second of a window to get this ball. And it was a 28, 30-yard pass or something. It was the game sealer. And Christian scores, and he just goes like this to the crowd. And I think we had a rain delay that day, so everybody stayed.
Yeah.
We probably had 17,000, 18,000 there. And Christian's just kind of doing like the MJ. And I mean, to this day, I think I talked about it to Dante last week and talked about it to Christian a couple weeks ago. So, I mean, that was just that sealed a win for us. And I am damn proud that, in your notes that you sent us, that we have at least won a win against those guys in 2012. So, I don't know what you guys got, Searle or Cop.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Kyle.
I would say 2012 was obviously a special memory. I would say hands down the best football game I've ever played in Stambaugh with the crowd behind us. It was back and forth. It was a tight game. We were playing some great athletes from Northern Iowa, and you know what? They had a shot to win that game at the end. Their quarterback threw it in the end zone, last play of the game, and Ali broke it up and sealed that win for us. So special memory being able to. I think we were the first team to beat them in like 10 or 11 years. That was our junior year. I think that was the stat. And then on a not good memory is senior year. Like we said, we had Northern Iowa, North Dakota State, and South Dakota State. Final 3 games of the year. I think we were 8-1. We got to win one game when we're in the playoffs, period. One of those 3 games we got to win. Northern Iowa was down on their luck that season. They were 0-5 in the conference. They were banged up. And like I said, these guys don't care what their record is when Youngstown State comes to town or they come to Youngstown State. They know that they can beat us. And, that's exactly what they did. Last play of the game, time expiring, kicked a field goal. And obviously we all know that College game day was tentatively rumored to come to Youngstown State to be there for the North Dakota State game. Well, long story short is we didn't get it.
Yeah, it's cool to hear you guys talk about that. I kind of have both. There was a lot of heartbreaking losses. That '08 game Sal talked about, and it goes back. I mean, they have. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, But 2012 was really awesome. We beat Pitt. We came back for that big game, much like this 4th game of the year. It was sold out. I remember family members trying to get tickets the day before the game, and it had been a long time since the Ice Castle was sold out. We did get that huge rain thunderstorm. Remember, it had to be a good hour delay, right? Maybe hour and a half, and the place was still packed. And Kurt and Kyle, you guys, everyone, we played a hell of a game. It was a great win for Wolf and the team. The atmosphere was unbelievable. I remember Christian doing that, catching that and doing that, and it just felt good. And I remember Ali breaking up, and we won the game. And I think this. I've always pointed to this game. We'll get to the next segment, Sal. But yeah, I mean, there's been heartbreak, and there's been some great victories too. So that's what what makes the game what it is. So I'm just looking forward to it.
I don't want to ramble on about stories, but I will say you and I don't know if we stay at the same hotel. I hope not after our luck, but next to the hotel we always stayed at was a Buffalo Wild Wings. It was the first time I saw a Buffalo Wild Wings, and I thought it was just like an Iowa local bar. And then there was a movie theater, and I still remember I saw the Harold and Kumar Christmas Friday night at the UNI movie theater, and it was my first 3D movie. Remember when they gave you the glasses going in, and God, y'all know how long that trend lasted, but I thought it was so cool. It was the new thing that. Anyway, that's my UNI off the field.
Someday, Sal, we'll talk about the story you're referring to. That'll be.
Oh, yeah.
That's Podcast After Dark with Tim and Alvy. So
now let me tell you, Dan. If you remember, we were at dinner with the Godfather, and Tress was telling us some like Ohio State stories that they're really like, oh my God, like I can't believe he's telling us these off the grid stories, So I feel pretty comfortable. I look at Dan, I go, hey Dan, you think I could tell him about the UNI story? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. So I tell Trussell this UNI story that I'm sure you guys know it, but I can't say it on the air. And I'm laughing. I'm looking at Dan. We're, laughing all about it, and Truss was just straight face, like he didn't laugh once. And then he looked at Dan and said, "Who's he talking about? Who's the story about?" I wouldn't say the guy's name, and I, and I was like, I can't tell him. He looked at Dan's with this. I've never. I mean, I not like we hang out every day, but he looked at Dan with the most serious face I've ever seen him having. Dan, I need to know who this was. Dan told him, and I think he just wanted to make sure like it wasn't a current employee, was it? He really wanted to know. But anyway, again, if you see me at a tailgate, you can ask me about the story. I'll tell you, but that's definitely off the air. Moving on to keys of the game into predictions. I will go first. I think key to the game offensively, we talked about him before. I think CJ Charleston has to have a big game. Their all-conference corner, Wool Governor, is going to be all over Bryce Oliver. So Mitch is going to need a secondary target to step up and be able to handle. And running-wise, again, they have a big defensive lineman, Boyd, potential NFL prospect. That's a guy we're going to have to either run away from or double team him, but he's going to be a problem for us all day long. Offensively, it's Theo Day, Theo Day, Theo Day. I'm not going to say we need to blitz and add pressure, but I don't want that guy taking all day, because if he's got all day in the pocket, the worse off we're going to be. So the defensive line, you're the key to the game on Saturday to put pressure on Theo Day. And CJ Charleston, you are the key to the game offensively. This is going to be a dogfight. I'm going 21-20 Penguins with the win.
Who's up next, Sal? Who's next?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay.
Keys for me, very simple offensively, just to take care of the football, And I really think, I know that stat always comes on to the quarterback, but really ball security is about everybody. It's about the run game. It's about not putting the ball on the turf. It's about receivers running the right route and making sure you come back to the ball anytime you're coming back. And obviously quarterback, making sure you're making smart decisions. But offensive line is going to, be the deciding factor in this game. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I'm going to give it to the Penguins, 27-24. I think our O-line comes out. I think we ball real hard. I think our run game gets going. We stay into short and third and manageable, second and manageable. We make good decisions. Just take control of the football, take control of the game, and not make any big mistakes.
Yeah, my keys to the game is no missed tackles, no pre or post snap penalties, because those against a team like Northern Iowa will absolutely kill you, and you will be behind the 8 ball before you know it. Limit those explosive plays and handle your business, and continue to do what you're doing by playing physical on the defensive side of the ball, and keep everything in front of you. That secondary, have them keep everything in front of you guys, so nothing over the top, because you guys are playing some good receivers with a great quarterback behind them. So that's all I got. I got them, man. Historically, just everything. If I want to get some points against you guys, I would say Northern Iowa. But you know what? I believe we got a team to beat them on the road this year. I'm going to take the Penguins 28, Northern Iowa 24.
I like that. Man, we've pointed to this game, and I know I felt this is the game of the year in my mind. It's a barometer for us as a program, I think. We have got to run the football. I just think that I'd love to see Tyshawn get a dozen 18 carries, Dre to sprinkle on his carries. I would like to see us run our quarterbacks, Mitch and Bo, or however, maybe get in some 3-back sets. I saw a little bit of that on Saturday, but we've got to run the football. That's my key. I mean, I don't know I'd love to see Mitch throw for 350 yards. I don't know if that's, but we got to run the football, plain and simple. We've got to control the clock. We don't want that game to come down to the 8-minute or 4-minute mark where it's still in their hands, because we've seen that before where they go down and kick something. And, we've talked about it. You guys all brought it up. It's time we create a turnover. a strip sack, a tipped ball. That's how you win in those games. I mean, create a turnover that sparks a chance for us, but I think it is absolutely imperative that we run the football and that we run it the way we want to run it. And then we can pass and do all those cliches you talk about, but we have got to run the football. Kurt said earlier on the show, it's about the guys up front on both sides of the ball. Kyle, you mentioned it. Sal, you've mentioned it. We need a sack, some sack, strip sack, whatever it be, create a turnover, run the football. I got us winning this game. I really believe it's time. We're due. I think this team is ready for this. We got all that junk out of the way. It's time to play conference ball. I got us winning 21-13. I really believe it's the time for us to get this win. 100%. I believe we're going to do this.
I love it. I love it. And we have it all circled. And again, this win or loss will not define us for the season. However, it is big enough that may I dare say if we lose this game, beating South Dakota State in the end of the season might be a must. I think we kind of looked at that as kind of we could win. It's kind of a measuring stick, but losing to UNI based on how the rest of the season goes, beating those guys may be a reality that has to be done to make it to the postseason. So it'd be much easier to beat UNI now and see where we are. How good are we? We're not as good as Ohio State, but yeah, we're better than Valpo. We all knew that going in. So
yeah, Sal, you brought up a good point. If I could say just real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, is there pressure to win this game? Of course there is. I mean, there was pressure to win back in 2012 for Kurt and Kyle and all those guys because we went out and beat Pitt. So it was like, are we going to come back and not win at home against a team that, we beat Pitt? Everyone was like, oh, they should beat Northern Iowa. I mean, Northern Iowa's got as good a tradition as anybody at our level. So I think that's what you want. We should have that pressure. Our guys should feel that sense of this is a moment for us to kind of arrive, and so be it. Yeah, you're damn right there's pressure on this game. Not that it makes or breaks or we're not good if we lose the game. It's let's go out and win a dang football game on the road and play like we're capable of, and I think we're ready. I really do think it's time.
Yeah, I think that Northern Iowa team that we beat our junior year, I think they lost to Iowa on a last-second field goal that year. Mm-hmm. They were with them. That team, like I said, these guys don't care what their record is when Youngstown comes to town.
Absolutely.
So we need to handle our business.
There's, we've all said Northern Iowa, they have a good coach and they have a really good freaking program. They've been good for 30 years. I mean, it is what it is. So, let's go out there and play some good football.
All right. Moving on, as we mentioned, Youngstown State has a bye this weekend, and so does everyone else in the conference has a bye either this weekend or next weekend, except for Missouri State. So we're going to go ahead and pick the Missouri Valley Football Conference games for this week and next week, and that will cover everyone. On a positive, I won't give out a full name just in case. I don't know if he wants me to, but Scott has reached out to the show via email, and he has shown multiple sources to me to find FCS odds. So we have real odds. The con is the odds are not out yet for the week of September 30th yet, but they are out for the week of September 23rd. Therefore, we will use real odds going forward, and Sal's Casino will have its last rodeo on September 30th, since those odds aren't out yet. So we'll pick real odds for this weekend's game, and then next weekend will be our last rodeo on Sal's Casino, and going forward, we now have real odds to pick from. So going around the horn here, September 23rd, there's only 3 conference games being played. Pick, of course, the winner outright and who you think is going to win the spread. Lindenwood, who is apparently playing our conference a lot these days and beat the Leathernecks just last week. Lindenwood is at Illinois State, 1 p.m. Saturday. I have Illinois State a minus 18.5 favorite. I have Illinois State winning, but I do not believe they will cover.
Same for me, Sal.
Same for me. Illinois State coming off a tough game. Win, but won't cover.
Give me the Redbirds with the cover.
Utah Tech at Missouri State, 3 p.m. Missouri State minus 12.5. I have Missouri State winning and covering.
Missouri State win and cover.
Missouri State win and cover.
Missouri State to win and cover.
I will say, I think there was 3 or 4 last week that we all went one-sided and we all lost. Interesting enough. Western Illinois Leathernecks are at my biggest nightmare. They're at Southern Utah at 8 p.m. Southern Utah minus 18. I'm going to pick Southern Utah to win and cover.
Southern Utah to win. Western Illinois to keep it close.
I'm going Southern Utah to win and cover. Sal, please never bring up that trip ever, again. ever.
Southern Utah to just dominate, cover.
And those are the only 3 games out of the Missouri Valley Football Conference for that weekend. Everybody else, including the Penguins, have a bye. Going into September 30th, the rest of the conference plays and conference play starts. And again, this will be the end of Sal's Casino, but these are Sal's Casino numbers. South Dakota is at North Dakota State, 2 p.m. Sal's Casino has North Dakota State minus 24.5. I have the Bison winning and covering.
Bison winning and covering.
I got the Bison winning but not covering.
I'm with Cop. Bison win, South Dakota covers.
Yeah, they did not cover last weekend. Youngstown State at Northern Iowa, 2 p.m. I have just a pick 'em. I don't think there's a favorite or an underdog in this game, and I have the Penguins.
Penguins, baby.
Penguins, baby.
Let's ride or die with our boys. Come on, Penguins.
Yep.
Got worried about you there, Cyril.
Come on.
North Dakota is at the defending national champs, number 1. South Dakota State, 3 p.m. The Jackrabbits of South Dakota State are a minus 10.5 favorite. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. I actually have South Dakota State winning the game, of course, but I think they only win by 1 score. I have North Dakota covering the spread.
Give me North Dakota to win this one. Shock the world.
Woo, I love it.
I got the Jackrabbits winning and covering.
Give me those defending national champs to cover.
That's going to be a fun game. That'll be a game I have on the secondary TV. Missouri State is at the recently so hot Southern Illinois Salukis, number 12 in the country, 5 p.m. I have the Salukis a minus 24.5 favorite. I believe they will win and cover.
Salukis to win but will not cover. This is conference play here.
I agree with the QB. The Salukis win, but they don't cover.
What was that accent, Kurt?
I don't know. Louisiana. I'm trying my latest Brian Kelly.
Whoa, Nelly.
I wish Southern Ill did not have a bye week this weekend. I want to see another game from them. They are really intriguing me this year, but 24.5 is a lot. I know it's Missouri State. I'll take Southern Ill to win. I'll take Missouri State to cover. So don't love that pick, but that's what it is.
Okay. Yeah, correct. I could get
Coach Moss, Coach David DJ Moss is high on the Salukis right now, boys. And if Moss is high on them Salukis, whew.
Oh, Moss Man knows. Moss Man knows.
You got Sterling Moss right now on the Saluki train. Whew.
Moss Man knows.
Last week. I mean, they look good surviving it, but we'll see.
Good teams win close games like that.
True.
You're right. Last game from the Missouri Valley Football Conference that weekend. Indiana State is at Murray State for the battle of don't put me in last place next to the Leathernecks. 7 p.m. I have a pick 'em, and I am going to go with Murray State.
Murray State.
I'm feeling a vibe from the Moss Man, so I'm going Murray State as well. My man, Moss Man. Is he
Murray
giving some
State.
love? Oh, sorry.
Dude, Moss is.
Yeah,
Moss loves
he's
this
in the
show.
chat over here. He was in
What-
the chat. I don't know.
What's he? Tell him Cop Daddy wants to know what he's chatting about over there.
He says the Salukais and the famous Tom Simpson Salukais are dangerous. Better have a crowd when they come to town.
I agree with that.
Yeah, you hit on it, Cyril. I just had, as the next segment, YouTube live comments, shout outs, questions. Sounds like you got Moss on board. Anything else in
Yeah.
that thread?
We are Youngstown back-to-back weeks watching us live. Great to see them in here. Super fan Richard Wolf in the chat too. So shout out Richard Wolf.
Love it.
Nice. Love to
Love
hear
it. Curdy, IG, comments, shout outs, questions.
Yeah, nothing too much. I mean, the big news from IG this week is Jalil's touchdown again. Congratulations on that. But really love seeing the Penguin Collective. We had them on here a couple weeks ago. They're making a lot of deals and really highlighting some of our current roster players. I know on IG, current players. If you're listening, we kind of try to highlight a lot of the alumni here. So once you all finish playing, we definitely want to get you on. We want to let you guys focus on what you're doing right now. But love seeing them highlight the current players, man. Anytime we can get that positivity out. So Penguin Collective, thank you. Also shout out at We Are Youngstown, definitely active on the thread. I think We Are Youngstown's really more active on X and Twitter. We'll have to probably try to one of these days jump on their Twitter space. I think they do a Twitter space. I believe that's We Are Youngstown. But if I can get you guys all on board one of these days, we'll get on their Twitter space and follow them. But they're definitely in support of the show and Whitetown Penguin podcast.
Just to kind of close things up, any last comments or questions from my co-host before we lock it up?
Can I do a quick little shout out? Obviously that Penguin Collective's been awesome. I see a lot of stuff they're posting on LinkedIn and such. But last week I went to the men's basketball team, had a fundraiser, and they had the head coach of the Boston Celtics in town, who played for our coach Jared Calhoun at West Virginia, coached with them at Fairmont State, became the Fairmont State coach, and then went to Boston as assistant and is now the head coach, Joe Marzullo, and he was awesome. It was a great event. Coach Calhoun did a great job, and the head coach of the Boston Celtics stood up there in front of probably 200-300 people and said he models his coaching after our coach Jared Calhoun and what he's taught him. So what a thing! There's a head coach of the legendary Boston Celtics in Youngstown for our men's basketball team. They raised a ton of money. It was a first-class event, and man, it was really cool to see. I got to meet the coach of the Celtics and said, "Hey, thanks for coming to Youngstown." And he was like, "Are you kidding me? I love Youngstown. This place, everyone here is unbelievable." So I thought it was a cool thing for our athletic department and our men's basketball program, and it says a lot about the great things Jared Calhoun's doing. So I know all you guys, we all support YSU sports, and the men's, the women's, everybody, but it was a really cool event. So congrats to them. It was really cool.
Love that. Love that. Anyone else?
Sal, how'd them Hokies do last weekend? Let us know.
Wow.
Listen, the Hokies.
I just want to hear the score.
Let me just say something, and we talk about this internally about Youngstown State. A head coach's loyalty to their coordinators, not the current staff, of course, that could sometimes get them in trouble. And Brent Pry's a great coach who's bringing in great recruits to Virginia Tech, but I just hope his loyalty to some of these younger coordinators who appear to have no idea what they're doing. I just hope it doesn't cost him or that team any downfall. But that's my 2 cents on the Hokies there, Cyril.
All right, cool. Just wanted to, we got the
Yo.
Whitetail Penguin podcast with the little hokey blurb at the end. So we
Yeah,
gotta,
yeah.
keep it up. Keep it up.
Thank God the Penguins are good, or this will be a rough fall. Same with the Bucks. Baker Mayfield, thank you, Browns fans, for letting him go. He is going to be the MVP this season of the Super Bowl.
Oh my God! He threw
Whoa.
one touchdown. He threw one touchdown.
Wow.
Look out for
Wow.
them Bucks, baby. Look out for them Bucks.
Sal, you didn't even like the Bucks when they had the GOAT there, Tom Brady. I remember asking you, you're like, no one cares about the Bucks.
It was trendy and mainstream. I didn't want to be on that. You
You had the
know.
GOAT. The GOAT. Come on. Kurt, chime in here, man. Come on.
Yeah, but at least locals love the Trot. Locals love the Trot.
We got a new stadium coming to St. Pete. I hope y'all saw that.
Dude,
That
you've been
will
saying
also
that for
be-
8 years.
It will also be indoors, so the AC will be phenomenal, I'm sure. And that's all that the fans care about.
Is it in Ybor City? Is it going in Ybor where people actually go to, or where's it going to
Same
be?
place where it's at now, staying in
Oh.
St. Pete. St. Pete just came up with more money than Tampa, but
Come
at
on.
least they're not leaving. Anything else besides trolling me and my teams? Everything else is cool?
Yo.
So, all right, let's lock this thing up. So once again,
lock it up.
the Youngstown State Penguins, they are on a bye week on September 23rd. They will be back September 30th at Northern Iowa, 2 p.m. on ESPN Plus for those of us who do not live in the Youngstown, Ohio regional area. We are TBA on if we will be recording next week. If you're interested in being a guest and doing a guest appearance, we have a few people that we're thinking about. You can either Instagram message Kurt at Whitetown Penguin Podcast, or you can email Youngstown Penguin Football at gmail.com is another way to get a hold of us. But again, this is the Youngstown State Football Podcast. I'm your host, Sal Guayardo. That's Kurt Hess. That's Dan Kopp. That is Kyle Searle. And thank you again for tuning in. And until next time, go Penguins.